What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Tower of God Season 2. This is episodes 3 and 4, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. So we follow up with with the continuation from I guess episode 2, in which um originally Bam, now calling himself Ju Valag Race, is given a task by the proctors to choose, I think, what was it, 8 or 9 companions to go with him to ascend the tower. But of course he refuses to take anyone else with him. So he's given I guess like some sort of like ultimatum to pass this test against the proctor, that if he wins it, then he doesn't need to take anyone else with him, but if he loses, then he needs to take several people with him. But
It is funny that at the end of at least of episode 4, that's exactly what he ends up doing. But it's just, of course, how he ends up doing that anyway.
yeah, but
Uh,
it's like, okay, so like what happens is that while Bam is fighting against the proctor, well, I mean, we should mention, like, how this starts out is Bam, like, like, I think, what was it, the one of the flame girl that he was, who was roommating with,
was it like
like,
Ewing or
I
I forget,
I can't remember.
something like, yeah.
um like, yeah, she was one of the princesses, Jihad or something. um
I don't think it was Jihad. I think it was another. Yeah, I don't think she's one of the Jihad
Maybe
royalty.
another royal
Yeah, I
family.
think it was another family.
Yeah, but we see, like, how powerful that Bam is. He uses, like, his ability to stop people's perception of time, similar to, like, how, like in Code Geass, in which Rolo uses his Geass ability to freeze people in place. He like
Hmm.
Bam does the exact same thing to this girl and the one other guy who barges in the room.
Yeah, I mean he has, of course, a lot of time has passed between season 1 and 2, but yeah, he has the ability to stop time, and he also has some other abilities too that I guess he's gained throughout that time.
Yeah. So, and of course the proctor, like, gives what was it, the remaining competitors in that floor. I if I can, like, explain the rules of that correctly, I think it's like more of like
I wasn't
almost like,
really 100% clear on what the rules were, other than that they were all trying to get a remote from each other, and that uh, they basically like like I guess they could leave the rooms, but it was safer if they didn't
yeah,
leave their
I
rooms.
guess take over in a way. I think it almost like taking over each room in order to pass.
Yeah.
Um, so, like, I guess it was going, like, for Wangnan, like, he's leading a group of, like, competitors to take over the rooms, but, like, like, at first things go well, but then things go bad once he finds out one of his friends, like, what was it, Nia, gets blackmailed by, by, what was it, the loan shark that he used to work with. So, and of course, like, Nia gives, his I can't remember if Nia's a guy or a girl. I
I
can't really.
think Nia's a guy, which was a little bit surprising to me because I thought that Nia was a girl. But I do remember, like, Wangnan refers to Nia as him after at one point in an episode, so I guess it's a guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of glossed over in that detail, but yeah.
Yeah.
So Nia gives us a reason as to why he's working with the loan shark, is because, you know um is because, like, he, like, there was an elderly woman that he was working with that took him in, but, of course, he finds out that, the old woman was also working with the same loan shark, that now he's willing to help out pay off the debts. But unfortunately for him, like, he pretty much gets beaten to death by the loan shark, basically just going back on the deal. So, and because, like,
Mm.
the loan shark wants to, you know just wants to climb the tower for himself, and this pretty much sets off Wang Nan, just to pretty much essentially take revenge on this, on his loan shark. So he goes over to where Bam is when he was fighting.
Well, so we should point out too, like, that Bam, instead of really like participating in the game, he just ends up going to fight the administrator. There's a fight between them that ensues, and we also find out the administrator has like some grudge against the Fug because I guess they killed his family.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, of course, Bam didn't really have anything to do with that, obviously, but of course he
Yeah,
only.
no, it's just because he's associated with Fug. I guess
Yeah.
that yeah.
So yeah, so the administrator, like initially had some trouble against Bam, but of course he eventually just takes the upper hand against Bam by using some of his abilities against him. So like Bam was like literally about to be defeated, down to that point before Wangnan steps in to stop the fight and ask Bam to help him out against against the loan shark and his and his minions. So they eventually go back and they end up helping some of the other competitors, including I forgot what this girl's name is. She gets like possessed by this slime monster or something like that before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, before Bam like literally just rips it out of her body and then just destroys it.
Well, it's funny because like the way he does that is he tries to I guess like sort of provoke her by because earlier in the I think in the previous episode or the episode before I think it was episode 3 where they were in a room together and she was asking if you had any interest in her body and he kind of like said he didn't, which of course offended her, so he uses that again to try to provoke her and she starts to even though I guess she's technically under some kind of sort of being possessed, she tries to yell at him, but he freezes time so he can rip the rip the monster possessing her like right out of her.
Yeah. So eventually, like everyone associated with Wangnan and end up getting the upper hand over the loan shark guys, and it gets to the point where what Wangnan confronts him, and then he's literally about to kill him by blowing his head up with one of his bombs, but he decides not to, because he says like with every like, he finds out the loan shark's backstory that he's also like in debt to with another person, and then like he's also climbing the tower, just to avoid that similar fate. But of course, what Wang Nan chastises him about like his methods of like why he's doing what he's doing to climb the tower. But eventually, like he says he forgives him, and as he's hoping that like he can change for the better. But it's yeah. So eventually, like him, Bam, and I think like 8 or 9 other people end up passing, and then are going to be climbing up the tower soon afterwards. And then
Yeah.
soon afterwards, like they end up celebrating with each other. But Bam confronts Wang Nan about why he would suddenly just forgive this guy, and like I mentioned before, like like I guess Wang Nan tries to see the better in people in a way, which I don't know if Bam is really satisfied with that answer, because considering the fact that he was betrayed by Rachel in the last season, I mean it's understandable why like
Well,
like
Wangnan also asked Bam like what if he's like I guess wanting to get revenge, if there's anybody I guess he wants to get revenge on or something, to which Bam just says like he wants to I guess find out why, I guess really just referring to Rachel, like why she did what she did.
yeah. And I guess at the end of the episode, we see him like flashing back to I think one of his friends. I forgot what his name is. Like, oh, was it? It was
I think it was wasn't it Kun
yeah,
or
it was Kun. Like like
yeah.
he sees like a brief glimpse of his friend Kun, back in season 1. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. We don't get to see much of what happens afterwards. It's just pretty much Bam, Wang Nan, and several other participants being able to move up ahead of the tower. Yeah, but I still as what's gonna happen afterward.
Also too we get what's that guy's name with the wing on his back? It was fuck I think it was something I forget what his name, but he confronts this other guy called Rob Devil,
Yeah.
and he the way he killed him was interesting because I guess we find out what his wing just transforms into. It's just like this kind of gigantic arm that he can use. So that was interesting because I mean we hadn't really seen him do that before.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like it's like I said in a prior review, like it's hard for me to keep tracking a lot of the new cast members outside of Wangnan. Yeah, because
Yeah,
we know that Wangnan is like they say he's the protagonist of this story arc next to Bam. But as for like the other characters, I remember more of the previous cast than I am with this current one that that's being showcased right
yeah.
now.
I think it's also just because there are more new characters as opposed to like the first season where it was like Kun and then that one other guy, the guy that was like with the spear.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean there was a few other characters, but they really weren't. I guess really weren't as important as like Bam's other two friends. Uh, but with this, it's like it just feels like there's more characters to kind of keep track of. And I
Yeah.
mean, the original cast who could show up at any point. So then there'd just be even more characters.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we kind of do get this in the opening sequence of the
yeah,
show, so we might expect some of the other characters showing up maybe late in the season, probably. But as for right now, like we'll have to see where it goes for from Bam moving forward.
I I think it would be really interesting, like for instance, like if the one of the original characters, I think it was Yuri from the original series shows up because she is like I think she's a princess of Jihad. Well, I think yeah, she did show up at
Mhm.
in one scene, but yeah, if she shows up and I guess confronts Bam because Bam, of at least who's Bam is working for now. I think she might have some issues with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be interesting to see like what happens there. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about these episodes though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting episode. Well,
Yeah.
interesting 2 episodes. I mean, we know like Bam is just is much different personality wise, and he shows some amount of like I
Yeah,
guess like he still
that's the only
are
kind of annoying thing I guess so far is like Bam's personality. Like I mean he wasn't like I mean I don't know. It's of course like the polar opposite of his personality from season one, but it does kind of make you interested in like why he's all of a well I mean I mean it is somewhat obvious why he's kind of like this, but you want to know like more about like how I guess how he really became like how he is now. Um, but yeah, he doesn't really he really just doesn't say much of anything unless he really has to, and you don't really know how he's feeling most of the time because his face is just hidden. So you don't really get an idea of like how he's really feeling about anything. I mean, and he's also just kind of he's just kind of cold and distant most of the time anyway.
yeah. I mean, obviously, just due to the fact of what happened to him back in season one.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we have to wonder like what would happen if he ended up reuniting with some of his old friends from season one outside of Rachel. And I mean, we don't
Mm.
know what happened to some of the other characters during that time frame. Whether or not Rachel's still with that same group she was with earlier, or maybe she just like went off on her own, and some of the other characters might be with each other, but some of them might have been separated too. So it's not really clear as to what happened, considering that it's like they say the time skip is like 5 years from the first season.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all there.